With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You have unread texts from Golf Buds. Would you like me to read them?
Yes.
Okay. Johnny says, what are the nicotine pouches you had on the course? Walker says, 8 milligram on nicotine pouches. Billy says, I love the mint one.
I like that one.
Walker says, me too. By the way, you both stink at golf. LOLOL.
Come on. Carry on nicotine pouches. Shop now at onnicotine.com/group text. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold. She is you, she is you, she is you, she is you. She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done. We're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And I'm looking forward to bringing today's guest into our coaching corner. Susan Hensley is a transformational coach, speaker, and author dedicated to helping people navigate life's transitions with joy, creativity, and resilience. With decades of experience as a corporate and executive leadership coach, Susan has a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities that come with major life changes. Drawing on her extensive background in HR, coaching, and journalism, Susan's mission is to empower people to unlock their inner wisdom, creativity, and sense of play during times of uncertainty and change. Through workshops, speaking engagements, and one-on-one coaching, Susan guides clients to rediscover their authentic selves and infuse their lives with more color, meaning, and joy. A global adventurer at heart, Susan has lived in various cities across the United States, as well as Hong Kong and London. She currently resides in Austin, Texas with her family, and when she's not coaching or writing, you can find her planning her next travel adventure, having visited more than 100 countries to date. Such an interesting background, and I can keep going, but I would much rather bring Susan in. So with all that being said, Susan, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Oh, thank you, Dori. It is terrific to be here. I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. And I have to tell you, looking at the things that you are doing and everything else, I would love for you to take us on your journey and talk to us about how you have transitioned into everything you're doing now.
I believe transitions, they may appear sudden in some cases, but I think they build slowly. The ones that we are interested in making, it's glimmers at different times. Quite honestly, I thought I would stay in that corporate job. I thought I'd still be working there right now. And, as life happens and the job stopped fitting, and then the pandemic happened and I was still working and the job really stopped fitting. And I recognized that other things were calling me and it was time to go on my own. I had, two very different careers, one in television journalism and one largely in HR, but in other capacities as well, and in the corporate world. And it was time for one of those big leaps. And ironically, it is so funny because to me, it's funny, but I think when we reflect on our lives and we see those patterns that lead us places, you don't feel the pattern building. And it's not until we look back at how we move through transitions that you see all the little nuggets, if you will, or the little clues along the way that lead you to where you are. And I took up art journaling as a hobby. I never thought it would be anything more, and we'll talk in a moment about what it is, other than a way for me to play and relieve stress. I never envisioned that it would eventually become actually a cornerstone to a new business. And I think probably many of your listeners who look for freedom and flexibility in building their businesses and how they do it, take something that sparks some joy or some interest and recognize that maybe they can mold it into this stage of their life and what they want.
Now, you mentioned art journaling. As we were talking about earlier, I love to journal. I go through spurts, my journaling spurts, but I love to color. I always wanted to be able to draw. Not much of an artist that way, other than abstract stuff, but I love to color. Love mandalas. Whenever I got sick, that's what I would do. Stuck in bed, out came my art pencils and my special markers and my bag. And so I would love for you to talk about what art journaling is and how you're using it for transitions in mindfulness and processing emotions and things like that. I think it's fascinating.
I've been a lifelong written journaler, and I still enjoy that. And what I found is that when I wrote, it would be pretty linear and pretty logical, right? There's your date. Sometimes I put where I am, what I've been thinking about. Sometimes you end up even with lists as my mind would wander. So although I have really been a lifelong written journaler, I never played with art. I didn't view when a kid I played with art, but as an adult, I wasn't even doing what you were doing. And this is years ago now, I had a coworker who had a whole side hustle as an artist, really talented. And you know how folks are. You stand around at work and everyone says, "Oh, I'm not an artist." She's like, "I'll teach you guys a few things." Like rainy Saturday, go over to her house and she's teaching us about the color wheel. I'm sort of in the corner and I start just playing with paint and I make this brown mess. But it was fantastic. I literally felt like my inner 5-year-old come to life. It was pure fun and pure joy. And it was a mess on the page. But I recognized, raising a family and the kind of work I was doing, the mess sort of was a reflection, if you will, of how I felt inside. And being a little bit of a perfectionist back in the day, or I try to recover, and you get hooked, I realized I didn't need to sort of clean up that mess. And so I kept going back. I got home and got myself just some crayons and just would play, no purpose, but in a journal-sized book, right? Or sometimes I'd be cooking or, literally waiting for water to boil. Instead of picking up my phone and scrolling, I'd color for just a few minutes. And I use really inexpensive tools. And I want to give this big tip now because I know our conversation will get more into what it is. One of the keys for silencing your inner critic and using art journaling for play and self-discovery and processing emotions is to use the tools you loved as a kid. So if you loved crayons, if you loved the big fat glue sticks, if you loved the funny paste that some kids even ate, right? Use that because that really helps to silence that inner critic we have and keeps you in a place of play. So, when I started playing, and so I didn't coin the term art journaling, but if you look it up, it can actually mean some different things. It can mean a way for artists, and I use these air quotes, to develop some skills. I really use it in the way you keep a diary or journal to process. And so it's about play and mess. And then I got curious as to why it was giving me so many insights and so much wisdom when I would look at it and helping me process emotions. I started to look and see what research was out there. And I was really fortunate that several great books have been written recently about what happens to our brain when we're doing something artistic. And it's moving to that right side of our brain, that holistic, intuitive, creative, peaceful side. And that's why I kept going back to it. It was a form of stress relief. It was a way to unhook from rigid patterns, which I just initially did it as a pure hobby. Like when we are drawn to something, we love it. Eventually in my coaching practice, I recognized I really wanted to bring this in to help people through transitions because it was my art journal that told me it was time to leave the corporate job. I had a bunch of images of people winding roads and people jumping off cliffs. And it's like, what is my subconscious telling me? And what does this really look like?
It's so interesting to me because as adults, we so often forget how to just have fun. I joke with my grandkids that I'm 17 in my soul because when I take them to the park, I'm on the slides with them, I'm playing with them, and I'm watching other parents and grandparents look at me like so confused that on a rainy day, we put on our boots and we'll go out and we puddle jump. And my son yelled at me, I can't believe you're teaching him to puddle jump. I said, who taught you to puddle jump? He goes, yeah, you're right. And he started jumping in puddles again. We lose things as we get older. And I think, especially doing something like this and combining journaling with art, it really does help you tap back to that inner child that was fearless. Back in the day where you thought you could be anything. And then as we get older, we talk ourselves out of that. So I want to ask, how does having play incorporate into adult creativity and help with all of that?
I love everything you just said because play is what ignites it. Play is, if you will, the groundswell. It's the fertile ground from which all creativity grows. There is nothing that kills creativity, like someone saying, be creative. When all of a sudden, right, and you feel that freeze when we are open. So what play does immediately moves us to a state of joy, of curiosity, of wonder. It gets us out of our heads. There's obviously the mental health benefits, immediately reduces stress, releases, dopamine, some serotonin, all the things that we take pills to help us do. Some play unleashes that. And then when you do reconnect with that inner child and curiosity opens up, that's where that ground for curiosity and creativity follows. You just sort of follow where it goes. And versus, sitting at a desk saying, I have to do this. The example I actually love best for people about the unlock of art journaling or any kind of play is, how many times have you been stuck in something? You get in the shower, right? I mean, the two don't have to happen. And you're just water, whatever, showering. And all of a sudden the idea comes or the answer comes. It's because you freed your mind. You're doing, ironically, a physical experience, right? It's a somatic sensory experience. That's what play is. That's what playing with art is. You're into your body and it really frees that creative spirit.
How can journaling be used as a tool to setting goals and achieving goals and still have that creativity come into play?
Yeah, so that's a great question because if we hold our goals, I like the idea of in an art journal, if you want to use it for goals, you create visualization or colors of what achieving the goal will feel like. Will it feel like the sun is beaming down on you and you have sunshine? Will it feel like you're floating, right? So I try to get into with part of achieving a goal is the feeling and the representation of the feeling. I draw a lot of suns. I mean, really, I'm talking the circle, yellow, and things. This is 5-year-old art for me and floating. Because once you really attach to the feeling, then if you want, you can use your journal to outline steps and progress and celebrate it. But part of when you're in that play place is it decreases the rigidity and the fear we can have about achieving our goals. We talk a lot about how we self-sabotage sometimes or how we get in our own way. I think if you're playing with art and you have the clear goal, you're going to whatever, build your business to this and it's going to feel this way. And I'm going to keep using sun because that's really powerful for me, like clouds. Part or you're at the top of a mountain, you can draw a mountain or you're swinging, whatever the image is, And for a lot of women, the superwoman or some of those stances. So, you can show a figure in victory. The more you represent that and you touch with the feeling, the more it actually helps your motivation, your discipline, because you're going off not just a goal of I should and I have to, which can be tight and clenching, but you've outlined the feeling you want. And it acts as an accelerator. So I think we're so good in our current society of project management and planning and really using our left brains. And busy moms are doing it all, right? You are the massive projects planners. You've got 50 things going and 50 lists. When you can associate positive feelings and fun and positive reinforcement, it makes it all more pleasurable. The exhaustion, you replenish faster. It helps you realize how resilient you are. So I think it's a really powerful tool for helping with goals, but I like to base it on the why you want the goal and the feelings you're experiencing.
On that note, think of what Susan just said. We're going to take a quick break, say thank you to our sponsors, and we'll be back here in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA. And in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here with Susan Hensley, and we are talking about the power of art journaling, which I find fascinating. And I have to ask you, what does color psychology mean? Because so many people don't really understand it. And how does it play a role in art journaling?
So colors move us. Color is that sort of language of the soul. One of the favorite questions, we were talking about your grandkids, one of the favorite questions small children ask adults is, what is your favorite color? Right? It's so interesting how early in our lives we have favorites, and then you ask why, right? So I think what's interesting is color, and I use this phrase in my book and other times, is the language of your soul. It moves you even before you are consciously processing what's happening. So although there's a lot of psychological studies and we use words like blue it can be tranquility, and green puts us in touch with nature, red appears passion, right? If you think of all these different things, every one of those colors has sort of a flip side almost. Red can also be anger. Blue can also be depressed, right? I'm feeling blue if you think of how we use it, or I'm seeing red for anger, and yet it's the color of love. So when people art journal, and I work with clients or in workshops, it's almost developing your own color key, right? Like, Dori, for example, what pink may mean to you may mean something different to me, right? It is understanding how you view color. And when you're drawn to certain colors on a day that's difficult, are you soothing yourself by using pale shades? Are you releasing by using bold shades and drawing lightning bolts? So what I enjoy about art journaling is it's yours and it's unique to you. And what I've tried to do, whether it's, online training or in the book, is get you to think deeply about what's happening in you and why you're making those choices, so that you can process what's the emotions you're feeling more quickly and not just be holding them inside, but you're processing them in a playful, safe container versus like exploding at kids or the mess. So it's also giving us a really healthy way to feel what we're feeling.
You mentioned the flip side of blue being feeling blue and anger and things like that. How can you use art journaling to navigate through grief and loss, which so many of us are experiencing?
Yeah, in the chaos and anxiety and just sort of fear that seems to be in our times, I have found it really helpful because there's layers of emotions. We don't always have words. Some days, I'll pick up, say, two crayons or watercolor, and they may be contrasting. One may be a purple, another an orange, and I'll scribble, right? Or I'll doodle some of my favorite things. And just, I'm talking 3-4 minutes to get it out. I'll draw little screaming faces, whatever symbols I want. It creates this really safe release, if you will, because then you step back. You've felt what maybe you couldn't even give words to. It feels playful because you're doing it with smiley faces or emojis or screaming faces or lightning bolts, right? Assuming, you're not fantastic artists, and that's a whole different thing. So you're using these child representations. And what's so great about the art journal is it's safe on the page. It allows you to step back and recognize we're not our feelings, right? Our feelings pass through us. And look, it's all on the safe page. You can flip the page, like truly flip the page and move on. And it holds the space. I go back through the years I've done this and look at some of my old journals. It's some of my most grief-stricken times. And, there'd be crying eyes or other things going on. And I have such empathy. And also I see the resilience and the movement through, because different ways in grief. Some days with grief, there's guilt. Some days with grief, there's anger. And it's not even some days. It can all be at once, right? Guilt, anger, fear, sometimes shame, depending on where the relationship was, sometimes regret, right? It's all natural and normal components. Deep sadness, like, this little stick figure just laying there with covering or flat out on the ground. And it allows you to almost mother yourself. It really stokes the self-compassion we have. And that is so healing, to be able to extend compassion to yourself, particularly in the grief process, to recognize what you are going through and have compassion. I talk a lot in art journaling that when you do your first images, and this goes on, you want to be your own proud parent. You want to think of how you act when your child shows you something. So you're creating this cycle of accepting whatever's on the page and actually admiring it for what it is. Because once again, it's just yours. It's just like a private journal. This is not something you're running around. You're not becoming an artist. It's a helpful tool to working through emotions and transitions in your life.
Is it important to establish a consistency when you journal, especially doing art journaling, or is it just something that you can go in and out of at times?
You can go in and out of it. What I have found, if someone's really curious about it, the best way to get going, to see if it works for you, because I try and offer it up as a possible tool out there that helps with mindfulness, that helps with processing emotion, that helps with creativity. But not everything works for everyone. So I would say, if it's at all intriguing for any of your listeners, say, I'm going to try it 10 minutes a day for like 30 days. Try and build in a little consistency to see what you discover in doing that. So I think it's very helpful initially. I found sometimes things happen and I take a break and I will start to feel an inner tension building up, and I'll know I need to go play in my art journal. So after it's been established that you like it and it's a helpful thing for you, I would say then you're making choices, and you may feel like when you really need to create more, and maybe when it doesn't fit as well, or you change up, you go from collaging with catalogs to, coloring or a finger painting, right? It's also fun to shake up the materials you play with.
I love it. I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up this conversation. So Susan, as we are closing out, what would you like to leave our listeners with and how may they reach out to you?
Sure. I actually want to leave them with where we started. It was your opening question, and it really is. I truly believe play is an entryway to our authentic selves and to really fueling our best self. I think our lives need to create more space for all of us. Best way to find me is my website. It's Susan-Hensley.com. So it's pretty simple. The book is there, which is Art for Your Sanity. There's videos, there's an online training, there's a free PDF of how to get started. So really, it's just the website.
All of Susan's links are going to be live on wordofmomradio.com. Please reach out. As somebody who journals, I go through my spurts. I'm in a journaling spurt right now. I'm going to take a look at this because I've never thought. I've used art. We talked about it earlier when I don't feel well or whatever, and I'm in a sad space, or I'm with my grandkids, which is my favorite because then we just get to create, but just for myself. And I am actually going to start. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to today's entry and just throwing a little bit of artwork into it and seeing how it makes me feel, because tapping that kid is really what keeps you happy, grounded. To me, the more you play, the more you get to enjoy life, because life is tough enough. You know, we need to have fun. And think of what it was like opening that box of Crayola crayons. I just used to love the smell and pencil, the crayon sharpener in the back and all of those fun things. So let that kid come out. So Susan, thank you so much for being here. I'm so appreciative that you came to share your journey with us and to open us up to a really cool concept of art journaling. I love it.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, it is fun and we all deserve joy.
Right on. And for all of you tuning in, thanks so much for being here. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She